People like to see a 3D visualization of what they're going to purchase. How does it fit into their industrial environment, their manufacturing environment, and integrate it into virtual reality. You can now step into that space, give people a real walk around their facility with the future kit they're going to purchase from us.
Hello and welcome to another MTD podcast. I'm Paul Jones, the founder and managing director of MTDCNC. I shall be hosting today's podcast, which comes to you from FANUC in Coventry, their headquarters on Anstey Park. The theme of today's podcast is to discuss the up-and-coming event, which is happening from November the 1st to November the 5th. All about automation. It's one of the first open houses that we're going to be attending in 2021, would you believe? We've come this far through. Will be almost 11 months of the year until we'll actually be able to go to this event. Now, as part of this podcast, I'm joined by Oliver Selby, who is from FANUC. Oliver, welcome to today's podcast. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Yeah.
Could you maybe just for our audience, tell us a little bit about yourself to set the scene and what your position is here at FANUC and what you do?
Okay, so I've worked with FANUC for 20 years or so. Literally started off sweeping the floor and I've gone through the ranks effectively working in the UK and Scandinavia for FANUC. Held many different positions and still hold a few different hats within the business. Technical sales, service, marketing, but now I actually head up the robotics sales team. So my current role and position is as a business development manager for that robotics business, with 10 people who report into me, both sales, technical sales, both in the UK and Ireland.
And is that as good as sweeping the floor?
Yeah, probably.
You probably still do both, do you?
A little bit, yeah, when you have to, yeah, exactly.
Right, so coming up in today's podcast, we're going to talk about what can be seen at the event and why manufacturers across industry should be in attendance, because I've been here today actually producing some videos for social media about what can be seen at the event, and it really is going to be, I mean, we were here, Ollie, at the event in November. Was it November 2019 or was it? Because that was the last time we had one.
Yeah, November 2019.
And that was some success. And I mean, speaking to you earlier, you've already said to me this is going to be an event like no other has been seen before. So is it going to be better than what we saw then?
Yeah, I hope so. Absolutely hope so. So we've reconfigured the way in which we want to show our customers the products that we have on offer. We've called on our partners to help develop real solution-driven demonstrations, things that actually people can relate to. So regardless of whether you're coming here looking for arc welding robots or a robot to manipulate parts within a machine tool, you'll see demonstrations that do exactly that.
Now, let's set the scene a bit in terms of the size and scale of this event, because for those that weren't here in 2019, I mean, you're on some campus, I call it a campus, some place here, aren't you, on Anstey Park? How big is this facility that we're in?
So our facility is over 100,000 square feet. The actual open house is going to sort of cover around about a third of that. So we've got a big
You mean
place.
100,000 square meters, or is it 100,000 square feet?
100,000 square feet.
Okay,
So, yeah.
okay,
So, it's still fairly large.
Yeah.
So the open house is going to cover around
It just
about
seems
a third
strange to be talking about such a big place in feet, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
But
Yeah, well, it's 10,000 square feet. Meters, sorry, yeah. So, right, so yeah, I mean, a third of that's going to be the open house. We have nearly 50 different exhibitors across the 5 days that we are exhibiting for. Quite a lot of FANUC content, obviously our own content, but we're bringing in our partner demonstrations as well to really give it that wow factor.
I think that's a big thing that we're going to touch on as well in today's podcast, is you've got a lot of contributors to the event, but with each of those contributors, there's obviously an element of FANUC's support, hardware, software, whatever it might be, isn't it? You've got an involvement in every single element of what your partners will be showing.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, what we see is that the FANUC product is sort of inherent within their offerings to their customer. What we try and do is take that standard FANUC product and the tools that sort of work alongside that product to give the end customer best value, whether that's technical or whether that's commercial value, or sometimes both. You know, we work with our customer base and our partner base to make sure that what they offer to the market is absolutely fit for purpose at the best possible price.
Could we talk about a couple of the a couple of demonstrations that people will see so they can get a clear understanding of from a visual perspective, what will be on show maybe. And I know there's going to be 50 people here, but let's pick on maybe 2 or 3 of the
Yeah, okay. So first one would be a company called Scientech, who are a Leicester-based firm who specialise in laser processing systems, both CNC and robotic systems. They're kind of special because they kind of bridge that customer that actually looks after or looks and uses multiple FANUC products, both the CNC systems, the robotic systems, and the laser systems that we do. So they're kind of special. They'll be demonstrating a laser processing system that's for welding with a robot in the middle of it.
It does more than welding as well, though, doesn't it, that system? What I was talking to the guys about, you can do etching, cutting, all of these things in this flex cell. So
absolutely, yeah. So the Flexlase product, as they're calling it, is really special, and it fits a particular need of the market for a small footprint robotic laser processing cell, and
fed by fed in some description by a 6-axis FANUC robot.
Absolutely, yeah,
and your laser as well.
Yeah. So the robot we've got in there is the M20IB robot, which is got fantastic path following accuracy. So straight from CAD, you can achieve some really good parameters and path following to get really accurate parts out of it.
Now, when I keep going back to 2019 because it's where I make my reference points, but you had lots of picking, packing, huge robots, one of the biggest payload robot in the world. You had machine tools being fed with systems and metrology involved in it. Yeah. Can we expect similar and more?
Yeah, so we've got a number of different machine loading and unloading systems being demonstrated from a variety of different partners. We have a halter system that you've probably seen in the field previously within your visits to various customers around the UK. We also have a system from Mechatronic, the i10 system that was also on demonstration 2 years ago. We've since obviously sold a number of those units into the market as a flexible machine loading, unloading system.
Because it's not just about the loading and unloading these days as well. It's about the vision element, isn't it? It's about getting the whole package right. And those are things that will also be demonstrated here. Not just that. In addition, people being able to visualize things virtually as well, so they can kind of start creating their own solutions before.
Yeah, like you say, Paul, it's the toolbox that runs alongside the automation offerings we have with the robotics is fairly vast. Yeah, vision systems, force sensing, and one of the things that we're going to push at this in-house show is that virtual reality and simulation functions that we offer as part of our software package. So we have our own software called RoboGuide, which goes so far to de-risk and demystify, if you like, the solutions that we're offering to customers. People like to see a 3D visualization of what they're going to purchase. Yeah, how does it fit into their industrial environment, their manufacturing environment? We also have another piece of software from Rockwell Automation called Emulate 3D, which FANUC have invested heavily in here in the UK and globally, and supported the actual integration of RoboGuide, our piece of software that gives us very, very accurate cycle times and robotic simulation, and integrate it into their piece of software, which gives us the virtual reality. We can now step into that space, give people a real walk around their facility with the future kit they're going to purchase from us.
And there's many reasons to come to this event. I have to say this to the listeners. There really is. I've seen a lot of them today, but this is one that is mind-blowing. Ollie, I had the joy or the pleasure of putting on the headset earlier and walking around your virtual showroom and being able to move from product to product and actually getting almost inside machines and see how they're going to look and how they perform. This is the next best way, isn't it, of being able to service a customer's needs without actually having to stand in front of a product or sell them the product. You can show them and demonstrate using software like this.
Absolutely, yeah. So, the FANUC product range is vast. Yeah, there's over 190 different models of robot. We can never ever bring every single model into a showroom. Yeah, anywhere in the world we couldn't do that. What we can do is show that virtually, to give you a sense of scale, a sense of how those robots are used within production. We can show real production systems working in the virtual reality space. Again, goes to de-risk the customer's perceptions of what automation is going to give them.
And will we see a collection of industrial robots as well as collaborative robots here at the event, and really sort of pinpoint the differences and where each of them fit in the marketplace?
Yeah, so I think in total we have over 25 different robot demonstrations at the event, and around about a third of them are going to be Cobot applications. So we have applications for palletizing, depalletizing, some more bespoke Cobot applications that you may not have thought about. But we also have things like non-contact metrology. That's one of the ideal Cobot applications that people tend to go towards.
Well, this is a good point, because there will be people listening to this that might be, might be very few, but don't know the difference between the Cobot and the industrial robot. So for those listening that may be interested to come, what is the difference fundamentally between the two?
The industrial robot, from what you've seen from social media, from videos in the past, is usually behind a guarded fence. Okay, it works at a higher speed, and it's typically lifting heavier payloads. Okay, a Cobot typically is a smaller, more lightweight unit that is inherently safe through the use of safe devices built within it, so force, torque sensing within each of the motors. And although it's an inherently safe robot to be working without any guarding, it also has to be risk assessed to suit the application. You can't stick a knife on the end of it and expect it to still be safe. But we will show you and demonstrate to you what is and what can and can't be done. And
to define the difference between the two technically is one thing, but the two colours are different, aren't they? Which is where
they are in our world, yes. Yeah. So we have normally yellow or white robots for industrial robots, and we tend to go green or white with the collaborative robots. Yes.
Yeah, and the collaborative robot market is something we've seen a lot of in industry in the last probably 3 or 4 years. A lot of people getting into it, a lot of people finding it as a pretty cost-effective route into automation, isn't it? One that to implement may need less tasks.
Yes, I would tend to agree with that. The only thing what I would say is that for us, typically when you start risk assessing collaborative applications, you tend to start talking yourself out of it. And that's just across the industry. I think it's widely known that, not every robot application is a Cobot application. Yeah. And you tend to actually sort of think that actually the buzzword is Cobot, that's where we should start. We would probably approach it the other way around, yeah. Maybe we should be looking at industrial robots first, because although the implementation of Cobots potentially can be cheaper, it tends to actually end up being about the same. But what you end up with is compromises with throughput, with the safety, and everything else that goes around the automation system itself.
Really interesting to get that point out. That's the first time that I've heard that. That's very, very interesting. Yeah. When I speak to Tom quite frequently, he always talks, and quite rightly so, about people or companies adopting more and more into automation in this country and getting to the levels of our competitors around the world, should we say, or even our peers in these instances. This is happening now, though, isn't it? I mean, talking to you earlier, FANUC here in the UK, you've had some quarter.
We have had a brilliant year so far. I think the automation uptake within UK industry as a whole, pretty much since sort of the start of the year, has sort of steadily grown. This quarter is looking like it's going to be the best quarter we've probably ever had in terms of robot sales, automation sales. This event really can't come soon enough, because I think it's going to then sort of really kickstart again and step change the industry to purchase even more.
And do you think people have gone towards automation before? We've talked about it for decades, but people have shied away from it, implementing it, the reasons that we talk about. The education is, we've been beating the drum for a long time. We've been trying to educate people into it. But now, maybe because of the pandemic, maybe because of other reasons, they've started to think that it is a necessity. And is this behind what you're talking about now as this increase or this tremendous
some quarter? I think, yeah. I mean, what we have seen is that,
or is the automation just getting better and more sophisticated?
No, I think the education is pretty much the key to it over the last few years. We've had an education offering to the market for the last 3 or 4 years, where we've subsidised educational automation cells to schools, colleges, universities. The uptake of that has been fantastic. We've seen globally that the World Skills Organisation has taken us on board as their sort of prime sponsor for the industrial automation category within their competition. Along with that, we've seen the in-house training within our own academy really blossom since we've been allowed to reopen at full capacity. So I think we're now booked up to the new year. Yeah, with 3 trainers week on week. It's really going hell for leather at the moment. So.
Wow, when you compare what you've got here in what we talk about compared to where you came from in Coventry, you really have got a terrific training centre here, haven't you, which can accommodate all needs of automation and from your machine tools to your tending right the way across.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, we can offer everything from a basic sort of 2-day course right the way through to some quite specialised courses for particular applications, and we're more than happy to sort of get the equipment in. Develop the course to suit that particular customer's requirement and need. It's important that all our customers, whether they're system integrators who are developing systems for their end users, or the end users themselves, are fully understand that we're fully behind everyone. Right across the board.
And talking about your training area, during the event, which I have to reiterate, it's happening from the 1st to the 5th of November this year, you're going to have 3 days of keynote speakers, panel discussions, something that was pretty popular last time that got a lot of interaction and a lot of engagement. What can people expect to hear when they're attending some of these?
Okay, so we have three days of kind of structured discussions. First day is sort of general automation manufacturing strategy, where we will hear from the likes of DMG Mori, you'll hear from the likes of Polypipe, various people in industry who are purchasing automation, have purchased automation, have worked with FANUC, for their automation needs. Day 2 is focused around education. Yeah, we hear from people from Birmingham University, various other stakeholders within industry or academia who have got a stake in automation for the future. The third day is based around IoT. This is where we call on our partners to sort of detail out what their plans are, what products they have that fit the market need for industrialisation and the digital world, if you like.
This digital world's a fascinating one, isn't it, where people are trying to adopt these technologies to be able to make their processes more streamlined, save time, become more efficient. It looks complex on the outside, but the result that people are looking for is all the same, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if you look back 3, 4, 5 years,
collecting data in.
Digital world, Industry 4 was kind of a buzzword. Yeah, what actually is it? Yeah, I think now what we have and what we see within industry is there are real products available that can help people become more efficient, understand where predictive maintenance can benefit them. These are all products that actually FANUC have inherently within and built into their own product range. But I think we can demonstrate on that third day of the open house with our partners that there are real tangible products out there that will make a difference.
So in its basic form, looking at what you talk about, the IoT, the Internet of Things, is that a case of taking a product or a service, identifying weaknesses by the collation of data and being able to improve those things? Is that maybe could you describe it in a better way?
I think the collection of data is probably the easy bit, actually. I think most devices now can actually provide the data that you're looking for. I think the more difficult task is actually, first of all, making sense of that data, analysing it, and then the most difficult thing then is obviously to provide sort of actionable insight from that data to push back into the production. FANUC do that through a number of different means. We have our own product range called Field, which is where we collect the data, analyse it, and then redistribute out the findings for the devices to then act upon. So, for example, where we have gearbox data, duty data from robots or machines, we can look at that data and feed back into the system about when it should be a maintenance period. Yeah, we can see when things and predict when things might need to be changed prior to them failing. The uptake on this globally in the future is going to be huge, because what you can do is you're taking on board the fact that you will have maintenance periods, but it's then using them effectively to stop the downtime or the unplanned downtime that may come from unpredicted failures.
Yeah, really good. I mean, it's going to be, all 3 days are going to be exciting. We will be here ourselves. We'll be streaming these panel discussions live, and of course we'll be asking for questions from the audience, but over the internet as well. So I suppose that's digital technology in a sense too. The audience that will be coming here on November the 1st through to the 5th, it isn't just, and this is a big part of MTD's sort of promotion continually, about some of these smaller businesses, some of these companies that don't believe that the automation is for them. It's far from true, isn't it? This really should be something for across industry, regardless of how big or small you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, of course we want to see as many decision makers here as possible, but really the key for us is to get buy-in from across every company at every level. So from the operators through to the senior management team, through to those owners, board members that are making those final decisions on automation. We want to see everyone. And
how do you get to the operator and setter, and he goes, well, is that going to take away my job? Because they always say this, but it's not the case, is it?
No, not at all. So I think we've got enough data now to sort of show that actually automation secures jobs, helps businesses grow, puts in place the future operation of that business for a long time.
You got more security with automation potentially than you have without. So Oliver, it's been brilliant to actually talk about this open house. I really can't recommend enough people listening to this to attend on either the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th or 5th of November. Now the 1st and the 5th are going to be days where that will be the Monday and the Friday, where you can still see the demonstrations happening. You can come and talk to your partners as well as FANUC personnel, but it's very much the Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday where I expect you'll see more people when the panel discussions are happening. Would that be right?
That's absolutely correct, yeah. So those middle days of the week there are going to be where we see the massive influx of visitors coming to see us. Good stuff.
Oliver, it's been a brilliant podcast. We're going to be obviously promoting the event over the course of the coming days and weeks leading up to it. You can register for the show on the FANUC website. If you go to, I think it's fanuc.eu, isn't it? Or is it fanuc.co.uk? I think one of the two.
Either work, yeah. That's fine.
Either work. You'll be able to see on the homepage, there's a link there. You can click that. You can then register your attendance. It is important to register. It's important for you to know numbers as well, because I know last time when we were here in 2019, you had, I think it was over 750 people come here over the course of a few days, and
that's correct. Yeah,
probably
we would hope to see sort of over 1,000 this time. If it's only just to get enough luncheon, Yeah.
Well, that's the reason that we'll be here, Oliver, to obviously for more than the food. Will that be automated as well?
Not this year.
Open your mouth, and will you have the automated Guinness tap like you had last time as well? Or
that's been sold, unfortunately.
Is it? all the Guinness is gone. Ollie, thank you very much for joining us on this podcast. That's been it for this week's MTD podcast. That's the event, the FANUC event, which is happening on November the 1st, right the way through to the 5th. Visit the FANUC website to register your attendance. Definitely worth a visit. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks for listening to the MTD podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.